In earlier lectures on sensitivity analysis, we have seen how to find the optimal solution if the coefficients of variable in objective function change. Then probably in the lecture after that, we have seen how to find the optimal solution if the right hand side constants of the constraint change. Now in this lecture, we'll be seeing how to find the optimal solution if the coefficients of the variables in the constraint change, or if there is certain addition of the variable in the constraint and as well as in objective function, how to find the optimal solution. So here we have certain questions. This group deals with changes in left hand side of the constraints. So first question pertaining to the same problem which we have had in our first earlier two lectures. The problem is, what will be the optimal solution if the coefficient of x3 in constraint is changed to 2 by 3, and in second constraint it is changed to 2, right? In first constraint, right now the coefficient of x3 in objective function, I'll have the problem here. The coefficient of x3 right now is 1 by 3 and 7 by 3 in the constraint, right? Now, if that coefficient changes to 2 by 3 and 2, this 1 by 3 changes to 2 by 3 and 7 by 3 changes to 2, that is 6 by 3, right? What will be the optimal solution, right? And second question I just read, will be handling them one by one. Second question is, if the company thinks of producing product D, that right now the company is producing A, B, and C. Now there is an idea of producing product D, which will be consuming 2 by 3 units of labor and 5 by 3 units of material, which will require 2 by 3 units of labor and 5 by 3 units of material, and results in profit of rupees 2 per unit. What will be your advice, whether to go for producing product D or not, right? What should be the profit per unit of product D to make it profitable to produce? So if the labor resource requirement for product D is 2 by 3 and material requirement for that is 5 by 3, what should be the profit per unit of product D to make it profitable to produce? Rightly. And then last question, what will be the optimal solution if the coefficient of x3 in constraints, x1 in constraint change to 2 by 3, 4 by 3? Right now these coefficients are 1 by 3, 1 by 3. If I change them to 2 by 3 and 4 by 3, what will be the optimal solution? So we'll be handling these questions one by one. All right. So here we go. Question 3.1. What will be the optimal solution if the coefficients of x3 in first constraint and second constraint also changes to 2 by 3 and 2? So how do we handle it? Is the handling is exactly in the same way we have handled what the right hand side constant. The formula is xi table, here in particular x3 table. If I want to have x3 column values in the table, then I simply have to multiply b inverse and x3 in the problem, x3 column in the LPP. All right. So B inverse, as we have seen in the last lecture, it is the matrix formed by what? Um, it is the matrix formed by the slack variable columns. We have discussed this in detail. So this is B inverse matrix 4 minus 1 minus 1 1. We also have been, we are also calling that as a magic matrix because it has the power of giving you the information related to any column in the table. If you have that matrix 4 minus 1 minus 1 1, this is B inverse, and it is B inverse because it is inverse of the basic variable matrix. It is inverse of the basic matrix. Okay, so right there, basic matrix is the matrix here, as you see, is formed by the matrix. By it is the matrix formed by the columns of x1 and x2 column, x1 and x2 variables in LPP, particularly taking the coefficients of x1 and x2 in the constraints 1 by 3, 1 by 3, 1 by 3, 4 by 3 forms your basic matrix, and this is the inverse of that matrix. It has a lot of powers. So we'll be using those powers. That matrix, in fact, is the transforming matrix, transformer matrix, which transform the columns in LPP to columns in table. So 4 minus 1 minus 1, 1 is B inverse, and X3 in the problem, X3 in LPP is 2 by 3 and 2, as you see in the problem. 2 by 3 and 2. So their multiplication comes equal to 2 by 3, 4 by 3, right? 4 into 2 by 3, that is 8 by 3 minus 2. 8 by 3 minus 2 means minus 6 by 3, that gets you 2 by 3. And minus 2 by 3 plus 6 by 3 gets you 4 by 3. Now you want to find out what will be the Cj minus Ej value for x3. If that comes positive, then you will have to go for one more iteration. If that comes negative, then whatever you have is your optimal solution. So what in fact we will be doing, we have got this as our x3 column in the table. We'll be multiplying this x3 column by CB column as we do. You simply assume that here in this table which we had in our original problem, this column is 2 by 3, 4 by 3, and you will be multiplying it by 2 and 3, okay, and subtracting it from 1. Okay, that is Cj minus Ej for x3. So 1 minus 2 by 3 into 2 plus 4 by 3 into 3 gets you minus 13 by 3. Okay, so as this Cj minus Ej for x3 in spite of these changes is coming negative, you are having your optimal solution still continues to be the same, that is x3 equal to 1 and x2 equal to 2. Okay, because with this change as 2 by 3 and 4 by 3, Cj minus Ej value is coming out to be minus 13 by 3. So all Cj minus Ej values are less than equal to 0. Therefore, your solution remains unchanged, and that's why your solution is x1 equal to 1 and x2 equal to 2. That solves our first question. Now the second one, right? On the same lines, we are having a new product. There is the idea of new product. What happens with that new product? It is uh, designed, and it now requires 2 by 3 units of labor and 5 by 3 units of material. And it is assumed that we'll be earning 2 rupees profit per unit of product D. What will be your advice? Right? So, what we do now, we will be now finding X4 column for product D. We take a variable X4, how many, to find out how many units X4 will be standing for, how many units of product D are to be produced. Okay, so now we need to find X4 column in table. which will be just beside x3 column, right? So x4 column in table is again B inverse into x4 column in LPP. Problem means LPP. So B inverse we know 4 minus 1 minus 1 1, and x4 column in LPP from the problem it is 2 by 3 pi by 3. Okay, 2 by 3 is the labor requirement for product D, and pi by 3 is the material requirement for product D. So this multiplication gives you the column in table. So 4 by 3, 8 by 3 minus pi by 3, 3 by 3, 1, then minus 2 by 3 plus pi by 3, again 3 by 3, again 1. So this will be the column in table, right? And having written this column in table, you just imagine how you will be finding Cj minus Ej for x4. Okay, Cj is rupees 2. Okay, Ej you will be finding as the product of this and Cb values, which are respectively 2 and 3. So 2 into 1 plus 3 into 1. You just imagine in this table, right? Here you have x4 column written here, okay, with coefficient 1 and 1, which you are right now not seeing. But it will be 1 and 1, and the coefficient of x4 in the table will be 2. So if you want to find Cj minus Ej for x4 variable, it will be 2 minus 2 into 1 plus 3 into 1. That's what we are doing here, right? 2 minus 2 into 1 plus 3 into 1, that gets you value minus 3. So as Cj minus Ej for x4 is coming out to be negative, it is not profitable to produce. But if you want to make, if you want to think of producing product x4, right? What you will be doing? You will be you don't right now do not know the profit per unit of product x4, so you take it as c4. You will be finding Cj minus Ej for x4, and if that comes positive, then only you will be thinking of producing product uh, D, right? So you will be finding Cj minus Ej for x4. So Cj for x4 is say C4. Profit per unit of product C is C4 minus x4 column in table is 1 and 1. So Ej comes out to be 2 into 1 plus 3 into 1. So that is totally coming out to be C4 minus 5. This should be greater than equal to 0. Why? Because we are thinking of producing product D. We can think of producing product D if and only if the Cj minus Ej for x4 comes positive. So Cj minus 5 should be greater than equal to 0, not greater than equal to 0, it should be greater than 0 for thinking of producing product D. So C4 should be greater than 5 or greater than equal to 5, right? So I hope you have understood uh, how to handle the insertion of product at later times. Initially, we started with just 3 products, but as the industry grows, there comes some product. Like here, we have thought of product D. At some later time, we can think of product E, F, G, H, right? So we can insert the product in table even at later time. That is the learning from this second question. What is the third question? What will be the optimal solution if coefficient of x1, now what has happened to coefficient of x3 is happening to coefficient of x1. Okay, what will be the optimal solution if the coefficient of x1 in constraint change to 2 by 3 and 4 by 3 respectively in first and second question, right? So how we will be doing based on our earlier experience of handling such changes. We might be tempted to go in the same way we had gone in case of changes in the coefficients of variables in uh, coefficient of variable x3 in first and second constant. We may be tempted to do the same thing like b inverse into x1 problem, right? B inverse into x1 problem, 2 by 3, 4 by 3, I'm taking from here, and I will be getting the result 4 by 3, 2 by 3, and this I may understand as the column of x1 in table. And then I may proceed further in finding Cj minus Ej for x1, and I will be finding it as 2 minus Cj for x1 is 2 minus 2 into 4 by 3 plus 3 into 2 by 3, and I get minus 8 by 3. Okay, but doing this way is wrong. Okay, you should not do the things pertaining to x1 like this. Now the question is why? Okay, because this is a B inverse matrix. This is powerful. This matrix is powerful as long as this is the inverse of B. Okay, and what was B? Your B was it was formed by the columns of x1 and x2, which were 1 by 3, 1 by 3, and x2 column was 1 by 3 and 4 by 3. Okay, this matrix is because of this matrix. This is the inverse of this matrix. As long as all the elements in this matrix are one are as they are, as you are seeing, this will have its power. This will lose all its power soon. Anything in this matrix change. Okay, you must have heard the story of a magician uh, who if attacked by any means, used to survive, right? Because he has put his life in a parrot, right? If you do something to parrot, okay, if you kill the parrot, then only you can kill the magician. There was some story like this. Okay, so this is a parrot of the magician. This is the magic matrix or magician. All the magic of this magician lies in parrot. Life of this matrix, this magician lies in parrot. If you do something to this parrot, this magician dies off, right? So that is exactly what we are doing to this matrix in question 3.3. Okay, we are changing this coefficients 1 by 3, 1 by 3 to 2 by 3 and 4 by 3. And soon I make any change in here, this matrix no longer survives. Okay, this is no longer B inverse. You will have to find B inverse new, or you will have to solve this problem from scratch. Okay, solve LPP from scratch, right? You will be solving LPP right from scratch. When the coefficients of basic variable in constraint change, then you cannot use post optimality analysis. What you can use post optimality analysis if the coefficients of non basic variable in constraint change. If the coefficient of basic variable in constraint change, you cannot use the sensitivity analysis for getting you the new optimal. You have to solve LPP right from scratch. Okay, but all in all, the important part here is you can keep on adding new variables as they go on entering into your problem, because new variable always will be non-basic variable. Okay, it may turn into a basic variable after your application of sensitivity analysis, but when it enters it is non-basic. Okay, so very important learning is you can add variables at any later time after you solve your basic LPP. All right. So that is how you will be handling the changes in left hand side of the constraint. Only the change which you cannot handle is the change in the coefficients of basic variable in constraint. For that, you will have to solve LPP from scratch. All right. Now we'll be going to the next group, right? That next group talks about the addition of the constraint. Okay, this is interesting. You can, right now you have seen that you can add variables at any later time after you solve LPP, you get optimal solution. You can add the constraint also in the problem. For example, here you have what will be the optimal solution if the constraint x1 plus 2x2 plus 3x3 less than equal to 10 is added to a problem. Okay, very importantly, as long as your constraint gets satisfied with the existing optimal, the constraint is meaningless. It is ineffective constraint. Okay, because it is not resisting your optimal solution from being optimal, right? So what we will be doing, we'll be putting the optimal solution in values of the variables which we have got in optimal solution into this constraint. Here we have the values of x1, optimal values of x1 and x2, those are 1 and 2, right? Those are 1 and 2, and we'll be putting them in the constraint. Okay, x1, what is that? 1. 1 plus 2 into x2, that is 2 into 2, plus 3 into x3. X3 is 0. Okay, because that is not there in the table. So total left hand side built up is 1 plus 4, 5, and 5 is less than 10. So as long as the current optimal solution satisfies given constraint, it doesn't affect optimal solution. Okay, so only thing you have to see is whether your solution, optimal solution, satisfies the constraint. If the constraint is satisfied, your solution continues to be optimal. Okay, so that's what we have already solved 4.1, because your current optimal is satisfying the constraint, and if that gets satisfied, your optimal solution continues to be optimal. And what is the solution? The solution is x1 is equal to 1 and x2 is equal to 2, right? Problem comes when the current optimal solution violates the new constraint getting added. That is happening in the second constraint. Okay, what will be the optimal solution if the constraint x1 plus 2x2 plus 3x3 less than equal to 4 is added to problem? Right? Now, if I put the optimal solution in this constraint 1, x1 is 1 and x2 is 2, 1 plus 2 into 2, 4, 5 plus 0, 5 is less than 4. That means 5 is not less than equal to 4. That means this constraint is violated. Now, this constraint will change the solution for, for getting this constraint satisfied, right? So how to find the optimal solution in this case? So what we'll be doing, we will be writing our optimal solution as it is in the table. Okay, simply you just look at what I did. Okay, I have written the table of the optimal solution which I had. See here, this table, exactly this table I have rewritten. But one change I did, I have provided for the space here. Something I am going to add here and a space for here. Okay, the constraint which is going to make certain changes in the optimal solution, I'll be accommodating it as it is. So it is 1 plus 2x2 plus 3x3 plus 0s1 plus 0s2 plus s4 there plus s3 there will be, because that is less than equal to, so I'll be adding third slack variable there, and also that third slack variable will be having coefficient zeros in earlier two constraints. So here S3 and the coefficient of S3 in the objective function will be 0, and values of B for first constraint in table were 1 and 2 here, and here because I am accommodating the constraint as it is x1 plus 2x2 plus 3x3 plus s3 is equal to 4. So my third basic variable now becomes S3 because it satisfies the condition of becoming basic variable. It has coefficient 1 in third constraint and 0 in all other. Okay, so S3 I make a basic variable. Even my Cj minus Ej values won't change because this new constraint which I have added has coefficient 0. That basic variable has coefficient 0, so that is not going to make any change in EJs. CJs are still the same. So EJs will be 0, 0, and minus 3 here, minus 5, minus 1, and 0. Most of the values I am taking from original optimal, and Z also is 8 here. Right? Now, because of this new constraint, Z is going to decrease. Because when I want to satisfy that constraint, I will have to sacrifice some value of Z. Right? Now, one problem has occurred in the process of accommodating the constraint as it is in the simplex table, optimal table. And what is that problem? X1 was my first basic variable, so its column should have been 1, 0, 0. X2 is my second basic variable, its column should have been 0, 1, 0, and S3 it is already satisfying the condition of being basic variable. X1 and X2 are not satisfying, so I want to make them satisfying. In that process there will be some changes in the third row, so I want to make this 0 because x1 is my first basic variable. So what a rule I will be applying? R1 is equal to R1, sorry, R3 is equal to R3 minus R1. So I'll be subtracting this row from this to get here 0. Very simple rule. So here I'll be getting 1 minus 1, 0, 2 minus 0, 2, 3 minus 1, 4, 0 minus 4 minus 4, and 0 minus 1, 1, and 1 minus 0, 1 again, and 4 minus 1, 3. Right? So x1 column, I have got it to what is called as canonical form. It is the standard form in which all the variables here will have in their column the corresponding element 1 and all other 0. That is called as canonical form. I have restored canonical form partially for x1 variable. x2 is still pending. Okay. So I want to get this value converted to 0. That will make x2 column as 0, 1, 0. So what I'll be doing now, I'll be again passing the rule R3 is equal to R3 minus 2 times. I'll be taking now the support of this 2 times R2, twice R2. Okay, there will be unique way of getting 0 here. Here to get 0 here, this minus twice of this minus twice of this will be getting me 0 again. This minus twice of this will be getting me the 0 here. To 4 minus twice of this will be converting this also to 0. Minus 4 minus twice of this will be getting me minus 2 here, and 1 minus twice of this minus 1 here, and 1 minus twice of this will be 1 again, and 3 minus twice of this will be getting me minus 1. Okay, so I have restored the canonical form. But because of that, one thing has happened, and that was must to happen. Okay, because that was the only way because of which my solution can change. Okay, all Cj minus Ej's are less than equal to 0. Okay, the possibility of changing the solution will be because of having something negative here, and that has occurred. So I'll be applying dual simplex method because in B column I have negative entry. Okay. So now I'll be carrying out the next iteration. I'll be carrying out the next iteration here. All right. And I know very well, okay, I know very well that S3 is living. Now, which variable should enter that I should have done earlier? Cj minus Ej by key. Let me do that. So this ratio I have to find only for the variables which are negative in this ratio. Ratio must come positive. Minus 5 divided by minus 2, it comes 5 by 2, and minus 1 divided by minus 1 1, and at rest other places I cannot find that ratio because that ratio is to be found between negative quantities, right? And I have to get minimum amongst all these ratios. So this is minimum, so this will be entering in, and this is a key element, right? So in next iteration, what do I have? My variable is x1, x2, and s3 is leaving, and in place of s3, s2 is entering. And their coefficient now are 2, 3, 0. Now I want to make s2 column as 0, 1, 0, 0, 1. Okay. So what I here already the element is minus 1. I'll be multiplying whole the row by minus 1 to get me 0 here, 0 here, 0 here, 0 into minus 1, and minus 2 into minus 1, 2, minus 1 into minus 1, 1, 1 into minus 1, minus 1, and minus 1 into minus 1, 1. So this just turned positive. Now here I want 0. So simple addition will get me 0 here. Okay. 0 plus 0, 0. 1 plus 0, 1. 2 plus 0, 2. Then minus 1. Minus 1 minus 2 is minus 3. Then minus 1, 1 minus 1, 0. And here 0 plus 1, 1, and 2 minus 1, 1 again. Okay. And lastly, to get 0 here, your rule will be this minus this. 1 minus 0, 1. 0 minus 0, 0. The way I have been doing this, the way is same. Minus 1 minus 1 minus 0 is minus 1. 4 minus 2 is 6. Then minus 1 minus 1 is 0. Then 0 minus 1 is minus 1. 1 minus 1 is 2. Okay. So this way, because of new constraint and the entering of S2 variable and leaving of S3, the equations have changed this way. let me find Cj minus Ej directly. So for basic variables, it will always be 0, right? These are three basic variables. At rest of the places, I have to find it. So minus 2 plus 6 gets me Ej equal to 4, and 1 minus 4 is minus 3. This has come negative. Then let me find Cj minus Ej here. Ej, let us first find 12 minus 9. It is coming out to be 3. 12 minus 9, 3, 0 minus 3 minus 3. Let's find it at the end. Minus 2 plus 3, it's coming out to be equal to 1. 0 minus 1, 1. All Cj minus Ej's are less than equal to 0, and all B column values are positive. And finally, Z, let me point that out. Z comes equal to 6. 2 into 2, 4 plus 3, 7. Z value has reduced, and that is the effect of constraint. Constraint will always reduce if they become effective. Their role will be to reduce the value of Z, right? So constraints have played their role, and your optimal solution is now x1 equal to 2, x2 equal to 1. Okay. So one thing you have learned that you can add constraint at later point of time after you get the optimal solution. You can add the variables also. So what you may do is you may solve very small problem in the beginning like we did. We had two constraints and three variables. I started with 2 by 3. Even if you have a very big problem right in the beginning, 100 variables and 100 constraints, you can find out which are the very important variables. Might be out of 100, 10 variables are important to you, and out of 100 constraints, 10 constraints are important. So you can solve the problem with 10 variables and 10 constraints. And at later time, after you get the solution for 10 variable and 10 constraint problem, you can go on adding the variables at later time after you get the optimal solution one by one. It may happen that out of 80 variables, which out of 90 variables which you have not tried, many variables out of that will be giving Cj minus Ej value negative. Okay, that means their insertion will not change optimal solution. Might be some variable gives you positive Cj minus Ej value. So what you will be doing? You will be carrying out additional simplex iteration. Your solution may get modified, and after your solution gets modified, you will go on to next variable amongst the variable which you have not tried. You will insert them in the new solution. Again, many variables will have Cj minus Ej value negative, right? So this way you may have to try very few variable out of 90 you have not tried, right? Out of 90 you may have to try might be 30, 35 variables. All variables you are trying, but for most of the variable out of 90, Cj minus Ej value may come negative, and for few, if Cj minus Ej value doesn't come negative, you will modify your solution, right? Uh, so that is how you will be inserting the you will be inserting variable at later time. Same thing you will be doing with the constraint. You will be starting the things with 10 constraint, and you will be getting the optimal solution, and you will be finding out which are the constraint, finding out which are the constraint which are ineffective, means amongst the 90 constraints you have not tried, you will be putting the values of optimal solution in those constraints, and many of the constraints may get satisfied with the optimal values of variables you are having. So those constraints are eliminated. Then one by one, you will go on inserting the constraint. You suppose say insert one constraint the way we have inserted here, and you will get new optimal. With that new optimal, again many constraints among the remaining constraints will get satisfied. Okay, and among the constraints which were not satisfied, you will add one more, and you will get new optimal. This process you continue till all the constraints are exhausted. Okay, this will save a lot of your time. Okay, because every constraint will increase the difficulty in solving the problem in cubic proportion of the number of constraints, right? If you have one constraint, it will be one time difficulty. If you have two constraints, it will be 8 times difficult as against one constraint problem. Difficult means more time taking, right? If you have three constraints, it will be 27 times difficult as against one constraint problem. So it is always better to reduce the number of constraints. If you have 100 constraints right in the beginning, then it will be 100 to the power 3 times difficult. But if you are able to reduce number of constraints, say to something like 30, then it will be 30 to the power 3 times time taking, and it will be significant reduction in time. Okay, if you use sensitivity analysis, right? And lastly, one question. This is not from any group. Okay, suppose say LPP formulation file is lost from the computer, but the solution file, that is optimal iteration file, is still there. Can you recover the LPP file using sensitivity analysis? Again, it can be solved from whatever you have learned so far, right? The formulas which will be coming to your help, B table is equal to B inverse into B LPP, right? XI table is equal to B inverse into XI LPP, right? Now, as you are seeing in your optimal iteration file, that all Cj minus Ej's are negative in optimal iteration. If I am saying this as optimal iteration, I will be looking at whether all Cj minus Ej's are negative. If they are less than equal to 0, not negative, less than equal to 0, they are all less than equal to 0, means my objective function is maximized type, and that is here. Maximized type means 2x1 plus 3x2 plus x3. I won't be considering x1 and s2 because they were the variables which I added later. So my objective function will be maximized z equal to 2x1 plus 3x2 plus x3. And because I am solving this problem, I have solved this problem by simplex method. It implies that all the variables must be positive, greater than equal to 0. Okay. Now, I have to find the constraint. Okay, constraint coefficients of x1, x2, x3 variables in the constraint. Right. So I'll be using this formula. Okay, x1 table, which I know because I have the table. In x1 table, I have value 1 0 is equal to b inverse I am having from the table itself. What I am not having is the values of coefficients of x1 in LPP, which I am taking as a11 and a12. A11 is the coefficient of x1 in first constraint, a21 is the coefficient of x1 in second constraint, right? So I have put the values, all values here. This is B inverse, this is x1 from table. I can solve this equation to get me A11 as 1 by 3, A21 as 1 by 3. Same way, I have got A12 and A22. What is A12? Coefficient of x1 and coefficient of x2 in first constraint, in x2 in first constraint, and coefficient of x2 in second constraint. A13 is coefficient of x3 in first constraint, and A23 is coefficient of x3 in second constraint. And B1 and B2 are right hand side constant. These values I am having from table, and B inverse I know. I'll be solving each set of equation, and I'll be getting values of A12, A22, A13, A23, B1 and B2, which I finally will be putting in the LPP, and here is how I have recovered whole the problem. Okay, that is sensitivity analysis. This power of sensitivity analysis makes simplex method popular. Okay, and there we finish the sensitivity analysis. So thank you very much for your listening. Thanks.